What up, though? It's Terrell with Socialite, and we back again with another episode of Market Recap. This is a series where I detail pretty much everything that happened within the past week within the financial markets. So let's get right into it. Stocks surged the past week due to the inflation data that came out that I spoke about in the previous episode, especially the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ had its best week since November of last year. And if you're not familiar with the NASDAQ, that's essentially the tech side of the stock market. So NASDAQ typically consists of companies like Google or Apple, Tesla, anything that's heavily within the tech space is usually going to be included within the NASDAQ index. So tech in the United States has been doing great the past week, and just like crypto, things are going up for the month of January. We'll see if that trend continues. If you haven't been paying attention, the crypto market in January 2023 so far has been busting, and it recently topped the $1 trillion mark again. So we're excited about that, to see crypto regaining this traction. I don't think we're completely out of the woods yet, but these are just positive signs that shows that crypto is not dead yet. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum is up over 30% the past month. So if you put in $100, your 100 worth 130 now, you feel me? And crypto like Solana went up by 100%, so it doubled. There is now an all-time high as far as Ethereum being staked at 16 million. Apple says for its Mac devices, they are now going to start working on touchscreen, which goes directly against what Steve Jobs' vision was. He said those are ergonomically just bad, and he doesn't want that included in his products. But yeah, they're going to make like the MacBooks or computers like these touchscreen just to, keep up with the trends. Amazon plans to roll out buy with Prime on third-party sites. Essentially, like when you visit, let's say, a Shopify website or something like that. Typically you don't even want to pay with their services and input your credit card and all of that. Now Amazon is going to offer their payment services to a wide variety of different merchants. So with that being said, this will increase Amazon's revenue because their sales slowed down within the past year. So they're looking to add a new stream of income, and this is their solution. People would love to pay with Amazon, buy now or Amazon Prime, all of that stuff, because it's simplistic and it works, and Amazon is a household name. Like, people trust that brand. So let's say, your girl on Fashion Nova and got to put in her details on that website. Now Amazon will pop up and it will say buy with Prime, which will make the whole thing seamless. The data shows that having Amazon as a payment system on specific merchants' sites increases conversions by 20%. So we'll see how this goes in the future, but this sounds like a great idea. Who doesn't love, Amazon's payment systems? And as far as their rivals, they're competing against the likes of companies like PayPal. And people who have Amazon Prime will be able to also get next day shipping. So that's just bringing a whole nother, aspect to it. So I'm excited about that. At the beginning of last year, a yearly membership on Amazon Prime was around $119, and it increased to $139. So look to see more price increases as time goes on with Amazon. This announcement comes after Amazon announced that they laid off around 18,000 people. So this is another case of technology, replacing people's jobs, and just the revenue stream that you could get from implementing technology other than having people working with their physical hands on said company. Amazon is also cutting its charity donations, and that goes right along with them laying people off. So as we see, Amazon is looking to take a step back in its spending, and they want to increase their boatload of money that they have on hand. Ads came to Netflix after they lost around 1.2 million subscribers last year, 2 quarters in a row. So to combat their slowing, growth, they decided to implement a ads version for around $7 a month. They did this because their earnings call was coming up, and they wanted to show investors that they were continuously growing and not taking more steps back. And the numbers show on Thursday, when it was time for Netflix to show their numbers, they did great by implementing this. So especially in terms of hit shows like Wednesday and things like that, really helping subscriber growth at the same time. They crushed it. They hit it out the park. They exceeded expectations by a lot, and this caused their stock to jump exponentially last week. Would have been a great time for people to do calls on Netflix. People who did calls made a lot of money, and people who did puts, people who bet against Netflix last week, they lost a nice little penny. The Federal Trade Commission planned to implement a proposal that guarantees people the right to work for rival companies. There's around 30 million people in the US who got hired by a specific company and they signed something called a non-compete, where even if they were fired or they left, they couldn't chase an opportunity at the competitor of said company. So that's going to open up a lot of people to be able to move upward within their careers, just being able to, work anywhere. But this is just a proposal. It isn't set in stone. So this is just something to be on the lookout for. I like to keep y'all ahead. Elon Musk is going to trial over his 420 tweet. If you don't know what that is, essentially a couple years ago, he tweeted that he wanted to take Tesla private at $420 per share, and he said that he has secured the funding, which in turn increased the stock price to shoot up tremendously. So the SEC put in a lawsuit against him because they said that he basically, misled people and it was misinformation and he shouldn't have said something like that. He already had to step down as chairman. Within the past year, millennials and Gen Z accounted for pretty much all of the growth within luxury brands such as like Louis Vuitton, Dior, stuff like that. And the main proponent of that is social media, especially TikTok. People are caring more about their image more than ever, and it's really showing. And by 2030, they're expecting 80% of the entire market of luxury clothing brands to be made up of young people. This is the perfect way to go broke, wanting to look good instead of actually being good. So this is not a good trend. And if you've been following me, I've been saying to stay away from the materialism because it's ruining us. It's ruining the potential. It's ruining our future growth as far as money and things like that. And speaking of TikTok, it has been revealed by a TikTok employee that they pretty much have a push button thing. They can make any video go viral, and we know that TikTok is driving most of the commerce in today's society, and we even see it with things like Instagram copying off of TikTok, YouTube implementing shorts. So we're seeing everybody wanting to emulate TikTok's algorithm because it has so much power, and this cannot help the spending habits of young people, knowing that TikTok can make any product or anything viral to the point where people are going to actually go out and seek these things to buy them. But yeah, with that being said, Louis Vuitton's stock went up to new all-time highs. And if you didn't know, they own things like Dom Perignon, they own Dior, they own like 70 other brands. So it's just a conglomerate of them owning all of the things that young people want to buy. Even though it's a supposed recession, even though the economy is slow and things like that, the luxury good market has been doing better than ever, more specifically Louis Vuitton stock. LVMH owns Louis Vuitton, Dior, Hennessy, all of these brands that's mostly associated with the black community, might I add. They're owned by one central company, LVMH, and they're taking full advantage of young people wanting to spend their money with them. Bernard Arnault is probably the richest man on earth at this point, eclipsing even Elon Musk, just from getting people to buy all of these luxury products, even during the worst time in recent memory as far as the economy. Nordstrom Rack stock fell by over 6% due to slow growth in sales numbers during the holiday season. They expected people to spend all this money during the holidays, but people don't got it like that. Nobody got time to be spending their money on luxury goods, at least smart people. Only the young, dumb people buying that type of stuff right now. But the people with the right mind, they slowed down tremendously as far as holiday shopping on luxury goods. Speaking of the economy, business leaders that spoke at the World Economic Forum has projected that there will be a global, entire world recession this year. And if you know about the World Economic Forum, they had meetings before the pandemic happened speaking about the pandemic. So they're just way ahead of everything that's going on, and their projections usually are a telltale of things to come. You might have heard that the Democratic Republic of Congo has been the main contributor to some new minerals or materials that pretty much holds electrical charges when heated. So this is a groundbreaking technology, especially when it comes to things like the EV market and energy and power and all of those things. The Democratic Republic of Congo has most of these materials, even though it's the most mineral rich place in the entire world, especially in Africa. It's also one of the most poorest places in the entire world. So that just shows the exploitation that goes on within that area. So this directly will not benefit the people that live there just based on previous trends. They will be exploited to mine all of these materials and just hand them out to the rest of the world so everybody else can benefit. So it'll be great if the Congo could establish their own type of thing to take full advantage of these minerals and things that they have right under their feet. China's population shrank for the first time since the 1960s. As someone who's actually been there, their population is absolutely ridiculous. They have about the same landmass size as the United States, but over 4 times as many people, just to give you an idea. Imagine if the United States population was multiplied by 4. That's an idea of what China looks like. Big Brother is watching. A Canadian businesswoman was ordered to pay $2,700 back to her company because they had tracking software on her computer, and it showed that she was doing things like watching Netflix and stuff like that while on the clock, and she wasn't doing the work that she was supposed to on the clock, and now they're ordering her to pay that money back and get fired. AI art design type companies are being sued by groups of artists who claims that their copyrighted material has been, taken essentially and basically applied to these AI generated images of other people's work. So essentially like Doll Ida I talked about in the first episode back, I believe, you could type in a picture of a strawberry in a Van Gogh type style and it would pull from all of these references, even though some of it might be copyrighted, and create a new image. And people, intellectual property, they not playing about that. People don't want their images used to help AI and machine learning learn how to create these things. So people are suing these companies. Meanwhile, Microsoft is implementing these things into all of their products. So just something to be on the lookout for the future. But since this new AI stuff is growing so rapidly and it's such a new thing, the lawsuits that comes from this, it will set the precedent as far as how future laws will be implemented when it comes to this new AI technology. So be on the lookout for the verdicts because it will determine a lot in the future. Just like Bed Bath & Beyond, Party City is going bankrupt, and it just goes to show that brick and mortar stores are going out of style. If you're not selling food and you got an actual storefront, you lost in the sauce. You're supposed to have an online business. You're supposed to be doing everything digitally now, because if not, you really setting yourself up for failure. So if you a business owner watching this and you only have a storefront, get with me so we can digitize your business. Party City stock is down over 90%, and they're at risk of being delisted from the stock exchange in general just because of how low their stock pricing is now. So that's just a key indicator of make sure you take your business online and scale it from there. And speaking of online being king and everything going digital, this is the main reason why all of these tech companies are laying so many people off. Where's my phone? Let me go down the list of all the companies. So Google laid off 12,000 people. This is the 7th big tech layoff. Microsoft laid off 10,000 people. Amazon laid off 18,000 people. Salesforce laid off 8,000 people. Meta, or Facebook, laid off 11,000 people. Twitter laid off 4,400 people. So that just goes to show this is just the beginning as far as tech layoffs. So make sure you segment yourself in a position to where AI can't replace your intellectual property and what you're doing, even though that's probably impossible at this point. We got to start getting creative with ways to make money because AI is rapidly replacing people at an alarming rate, and we're witnessing it in the now. You can play if you want to, but the real ones should take heed to these words and adjust accordingly. Speaking of physical places, Twitter had a fire sale in their San Francisco office as far as all of the supplies and stuff that they have in office because they expect a lot less people to be there. Even things like tables and chairs and they selling it all just to clear out space. And they even had a statue of the Twitter bird logo, and that sold for $100,000. So they getting rid of everything. The United States debt hit a whopping $31.4 trillion, which is supposed to be the ceiling of our entire spending budget. And the government still got to pay their bills. You know, this is essentially being so far in debt that they can't pay bills. And the Treasury Department came out and basically said they got something up their sleeve, but we don't know what it is yet. My only guess is introducing something that's going to make us take on even more debt and push it further down the road. But this is starting to balloon so big to the point where if it pops, it's going to be devastating. So just be on the lookout for what America plans to do with all of this debt it owes. I know we owe the majority of it to China. And with that being said, if they come over here and be like, you know, we want our bread now, what are we going to do other than give up our resources and land and basically be owned by them? You know, debt is not a good thing. And the United States has to figure out a way to take care of this, because it might already be too late, quite honestly. And I see why they keep kicking it further down the road. But yeah, the U.S. hit its cap as far as debt that they wanted to owe, which is over $30 trillion. The Saudis, with all the oil money, are saying that they're willing to trade using other currencies other than the U.S. dollar. If you've been hip, nobody used nothing but the U.S. dollar. That was the standard. But this just goes to show the destruction of our dollar is becoming piss poor. It's becoming nothing. And it's been going down ever since the gold standard was implemented, and especially with quantitative easing. You know, I always say within the past couple of years since the pandemic, more than like 30% of the entire money that's ever been printed has been printed within this time. So what does that mean? You know, as far as supply and demand, if it's too much supply, the demand of it is going to go down. The value of it is going down. And we're seeing that in real time with the Saudis willing to deal with other currencies instead of ours. And of all the global wealth, the new wealth that was formed throughout the pandemic, the 1% got 2/3 of the entire pot of all the money that was made or produced within these past couple years. So another case of the rich getting richer, while young people, dumb people, all types of people stuck on buying material goods, man. The Biden administration is currently planning to increase their spending and just have a new budget as far as money that's going to the Ukraine. Last year we sent Ukraine $50 billion, which is just that money could have been used to fix so much stuff here in the United States, but they chose to send it to Ukraine. And news came out that Putin said if Ukraine wins this war, he's threatening with nuclear power. So it just gets deeper. It's like we living in a goddamn fairy tale sci-fi movie at this point, and there's just so many factors going on at the same time. And people like us, we trying to figure out how to just make a livelihood for us in the future, even though it might not even be a future. Bank of America was hacked. People were saying that money just was getting zapped out their account. All type of stuff was going on. Let me know if you was affected by the Bank of America outages. It seems as if something deeper is going on. It seems related to even the flights being grounded a couple weeks ago to where people couldn't even fly. I wonder if this is all intertwined. There were reports of a spaceship UFO type thing at the Mexico border. And, you know, as far as UFOs and stuff like that, usually the quality of the pictures that's taken are taken from like a 1990 cell phone. Like the quality is usually horrible, but this specific picture, I'm gonna put it up right here, looks pretty high quality and real. Let me know what y'all think. I'm not a big proponent of UFOs from outer space. I feel like all of that technology is already here and it's just us harnessing it. But let me know what y'all think. Genius Group stock is up 400% over the past week. If you got with me or other people that's in my inner circle network, you would have already been hip to this stock. Fake meat is falling off of a cliff. Even though we've seen people like Leonardo DiCaprio and Bill Gates all pushing for this fake meat, real meat has been better than ever. And as far as fake meat is all going downhill, the demand of it is pretty much the lowest it's ever been. The stocks are doing bad. So the plant-based meat has not been hitting. It's also came out that Simply Orange Juice, owned and manufactured by Coca-Cola, just like the, you feel me, LVMH stock, Coca-Cola own all these other subsidiaries. But as far as Simply Orange Juice, it's been found to have toxic chemicals in it, man. People drink orange juice for vitamin C, for healthy, for all of this, and it's actually been turned out to be the most toxic of them all, specifically Simply Orange Juice. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about all of the topics discussed. I know it's a lot of information, but what hit home the most to me was the Congo and their new materials that the world is going to exploit. I just hope that they could find a way to enrich their country due to this, because these new materials, these rocks that can hold electrical charge, from being heated is groundbreaking technology. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go in the future. But as always, it's been another episode of Market Recap. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Follow me on social media. Hit me up anywhere. I'm always going to respond. I'm out.